Greetings, fellow watchlovers. Today we will go on a hike with my Tudor Pelagos. I figured why not visit what has to be Switzerland's most iconic shape, the all too famous Matterhorn. Now, even though I'm Swiss, or perhaps because I am, I actually haven't visited this mountain in person yet. So we'll have a chance to discover it together.
Thinking about the Matterhorn with its seemingly undisturbed and eternal presence, I had to think about watches and their aspiration of being more than just a fleeting object. Watches are among the few everyday objects meant to last. They may not outlast the Matterhorn, but they may well outlive us. Nevertheless, I and many other YouTubers mostly review watches that have just been acquired and haven't even entered their infancy yet when compared to their expected lifespan. It's hard to extrapolate from here whether they will fulfill the promise of being that lifetime item and whether all throughout they will continue to fascinate us and claim their place on our wrist. I've had my Pelagos for half a decade now, so I figured it is time for a review. Since I intend to keep the watch for much longer, I can't call it a long-term review, but perhaps a mid or at least a not-so-short-term review. I can say I wore this thing at least every second day of the past 6 years on average, and I did it mostly with little concern for its physical well-being. One scratch led to another, and soon I wasn't too worried anymore about accumulating a couple more. In short, this watch was used and abused, but how did it hold up? And do I still love it? Do I still reach for it in the morning? Let's find out in this not-so-short-term review. First of all, let me express my utter surprise at how this watch looks after years of use. Now, nobody would call it mint, but it is more than intact with its many signs of age enhancing rather than taking away from its appearance. Much like the Matterhorn, which would look rather boring without its many furrows, its charismatic face full of fissures, the Tudor wears its signs of time well. It certainly helps that the scratch-resistant titanium isn't easily disfigured. All of that leads to a wonderful absence of nervousness when wearing the watch. Even though it's no Seiko and definitely a pricey object, I'm simply not worried about scratching it. Something I can't say about my Grand Seiko, for instance, which I'm anxious about even while it is sitting inside my travel pouch. Not unlike the Matterhorn, this thing is here to stay and gets only more charming the more time and my carefree arm is having an effect on it. To stretch the Matterhorn analogy even further, which is to say to stretch it too far, but hey, we are here, so I better try to make reference to it. The Pelagos doesn't get old even while it gets old. After 6 years, I'm still taken in by its design. Its fuss-free appearance still speaks to me. Some might say that it verges on being dry and prosaic, clearly lacking the thrill and visual punch of other watches. I would say, yes, it is indeed a little sober, a little boring even. But that also means it doesn't tire me. I'm never really getting too much of it. Sure, hanging out with a charismatic extrovert is exciting at first, but after having absorbed his expressive personality for some time, one might wish to be around an introvert instead. Oh, and as to that Matterhorn analogy, the Matterhorn for sure is more charismatic than the Pelagos, if one can say that about an object made of stone. But it also continues to be interesting and fresh no matter how many times one looks at it. It is a classic, so to speak, as is the Pelagos with its Rolex DNA clearly shining through. While distilling the best of that time-tested design, it somehow distinguishes itself as its own thing, stepping outside the shadow of its big hulking brother. Just to go on about its design, I like that it seems purely purpose-driven at first, but upon closer inspection reveals design choices made to just make it look better. If we zoom in on the base of its hands, for instance, we see that they were blackened near the center, which serves little purpose other than perhaps separating them and giving them the cool appearance of floating above the dial. So yes, form mostly follows function here, but not to the detriment of its aesthetic appeal. Its performance has been rock solid, with the movement ticking away for 6 years without any hiccups. I was told by my dealer to wait with the service until something actually breaks down. And so far the ETA has been living up to its reputation of being that workhorse you can rely on. The only thing I would change is its frankly underwhelming power reserve of 48 hours. Make it 72 hours and call me an even happier man. All in all, I can say that I enjoyed my time with this watch tremendously. Its design has caught my eye the first time I saw it, and it keeps piquing my interest even after all these years. Its case has been a fortress, seeming almost as indestructible as those iconic rocks. And its bracelet, although it has experienced some amount of stretching, is still more confidence-inspiring than many a new watch. In short, I will keep wearing it and give you another update in 6 years when it has entered its second decade. Until then, stay healthy, visit the Matterhorn if you can, and most importantly, check out my other videos and subscribe if you have enjoyed this one.